Yeah, baby. Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to episode number 59 of Clark After Dark, right here, right now, live and direct on RaceON.com. After a huge weekend around the Arklatex, of course, the short track nationals took place this past weekend. I always have to slow down the talk a little bit so you can get Ted Nugent to just bring us right into it, baby. Woo! Solo dolo tonight. My boy Cortland Smith sent me a text about about 11 o'clock this afternoon and said, Zach Clark, I feel like hammered dog shit. I'm pretty sure I have the flu. I've been working all day. Been at football practice. He said, I'm going to go home and rest for about the next hour and see how I said, brother, you just take the night off if that's what you feel you need to do, man. We'll limp through this thing and we'll pull it off solo dolo tonight. We'll be looking forward to having you back next week. So everybody keep Cortland Smith in your thoughts and prayers. He's not a guy who makes excuses. He typically doesn't get sick. I'll be honest. I've known him a long time. I can't recall him ever just telling me that he felt like shit or he didn't feel good or he couldn't perform a task at hand. So I know that he's not feeling well because that'd be the only reason why he wouldn't be here. So I hope Cortland gets to feeling better. And so when he hears this, all is well, bud. We'll roll with this thing tonight. Short track nationals, huge event this past weekend at Texarkana 67 Speedway. Of course, the Halloween Havoc at 105. We had 200 plus cars into the pit area down in Waco, Texas at the Lucky 13 Bet All Fall Classic at the heart of Texas. Kyle Larson is now a two-time Winston Cup series. Did I say Winston Cup? He's now a two-time. I don't even know what the hell they call it anymore. Is it sprint? Yeah, it's two-time Sprint Cup Series champion after a heartbreak for Denny Hamlin coming up short yet again of the championship finale on Sunday in Phoenix, Arizona. The NFL trade deadline was today at 4 o'clock p.m. for all of our race fans that don't give a shit. Sorry, the Cowboys made a couple of moves after the team fell to 3-5-1 last night. The Dodgers won an extra innings Game 7 thriller over Toronto in Toronto, and pundits are calling it one of the greatest World Series of all time. Again, ladies and gentlemen, welcome into episode number 59 of Clark After Dark. No Cortland Smith tonight, just I, Zach Clark, carrying the banner for this podcast. It may not be a very long one tonight, guys. I'll be honest. The number one task at hand tonight, and the goal for me, I reached out to Hank Davis a couple of days ago, obviously interviewed him in Victor Lane. He dominated. He absolutely kicked their tails in the short track nationals. Won over $23,000 for his efforts for his wins there. Swept the weekend at Texarkana for the 38th running of the short track nationals. I reached out to him, kind of said something to him and Victor Lane about having him on the podcast. He said, yeah, man, absolutely. Just reach out. Well, I reached out day before yesterday. He confirmed to come on. And then I reached out to him and sent him the link. You know, we were all good and set up to go. And, man, it just kind of fell through. He sent me a message. I mean, he was very honest. I really feel like he's being honest. He said that, man, he wasn't going to be able to make it. He said they were in the shop and working on the race car. It made me feel like I wasn't very important for a second, but then I read the message a couple more times. He said, man, I'd be really, really happy to reschedule and do it tomorrow. Obviously, tomorrow is my birthday, so I'm already planning to be in Louisiana tomorrow, so it just didn't work out. Like, we had planned to have Hank Davis on. I really, really wanted to go in depth with him and talk to him about absolutely just throwing his nuts over his shoulder this weekend in Texarkana, and that's what he said himself, so that's why I said it in that way. That's what he said to me in his post-race interview. He said, dude, I had to just throw him over my shoulder to get it done because it was a very abrasive and demanding racetrack that all of the 410 sprint car drivers competed on for the tune of $20,000 win for the 38th annual short track nationals this past weekend. But yeah, we were looking forward to having Hank. Like I said, he reached out and man, he said that they were just working hard on the engine. They're trying to get ready to go to Texas Motor Speedway this weekend. So after Ryan Gustin shunned me a couple weeks ago, now Hank Davis has shunned me. I mean, I don't think any factory stock drivers are going to shun me anytime. I'm just kidding. I'm not calling anybody. I'm just kidding. I really, truly believe he'd have been happy to come on. Sometimes shit happens. Sometimes people's schedules just don't work out. And it bees like that, and it is what it is. But like I said, Hank Davis was absolutely impressive at Texarkana this past Friday and Saturday. He won the 3,000 win prelim on Friday night, and then came back and won the 21. It was 20,000, but if you had an MPV logistics sticker on the car, it was an additional $1,000. We also had a $500 sponsorship courtesy of Estelle Truck Repair come on top and add to the $2,500 original winning purse on Friday. So that's why he won 3,000 on Friday, and again won 21 grand on Saturday night. Like I said a moment ago, he said it in his interview that he felt like he had to throw his nuts over his shoulder. And by them, he meant his big ass nuts, because I'm going to tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, if you watched Texarkana this past weekend live on RaceON, or whether you watched it on Flow Racing, it was a little bit more cowboy up than I think Tim was wanting it to be as far as track prep is concerned. But we were down to the 12-second bracket early on in qualifying, and it stayed there throughout the heat races on Saturday night. But super impressed with Hank Davis out of Sand Springs, Oklahoma. This guy's won a couple of prelim features at the Chili Bowl in Tulsa. I mean, a very, very talented race car driver. And he kind of alluded to it in his post race a couple of times throughout the weekend that he knows what that 2C car is made of because he used to drive the 2C car. That was basically his number one competition all weekend was Cole Macedo from Lemoore, California, driving that Wayne Johnson Racing number 2C. And I don't know if they met their match or what, but man, Hank Davis was just on it all weekend long. I mean, he started sixth in the feature on Friday night. He found a good diamond line that he was working down in turns 1 and 2. He'd kind of cut down, he'd shoot up high, and then kind of diamond down load and find that moisture off the bottom. He passed 2 or 3 cars in one corner. This was before Chris Martin on Friday night kind of missed the corner getting into turn 1, collected Cole Macedo and a couple of good race cars. Unfortunately for Macedo, he was up front running in the top 3, had a chance to win both nights and ended up upside down and going off on the tow hook. And that was unfortunately the case for a lot of guys. Like I said, it was a very abrasive racetrack this weekend, but it wasn't bad. Like it was cowboy up, but the racing was actually really good. We did have a hard time keeping the green flag to stay out in the 41 lap feature. By the way, absolutely loved that the feature race was 41 laps in distance in memory of the late great Jason Johnson out of Eunice, Louisiana, the Raging Cajun. If anybody knows me knows that if I'm ever on iRacing, any race I'll ever host on there, it's always 41 laps in distance in memory of Jason Johnson. And a lot of people will ask me, they're like, why is this race 41 laps? I'm like, Jason Johnson. You know, if you don't know him, then Google him. And believe it or not, there's a lot of young kids that don't have a clue. This was just like a couple weeks ago we were on, and this kid asked, why is this race 41 laps? I said, memory of Jason Johnson. He said, who's Jason Johnson? I said, Lord help us. Like, you know, like I know our community's really tight knit, but it's kind of amazing. Like some of this younger generation that just aren't aware or, you know, and that's fine. Like they don't have to, you know, I'm a really big stat guy. So, I mean, I look at stat books going back to the 60s, 70s, 80s, and this is football. It's really in any sport, but certainly for racing, it's just interesting. Like the kids who I guess just aren't like up to snuff on the history of the sport. Like, because I want to tell you something. We talked about it on this podcast the last couple of weeks. Hank Davis put his name into a laundry list of some of the best race car drivers in the history of this sport as far as sprint car racing is concerned. Talked about it. Gary Wright's a multi-time winner of this race. Sam Hafertepe Jr., the 5-time ASCS national champion. I mean, honestly, Steve Kinzer won the first one in the year I was born back in 1988. Hank Davis, I really feel like a lot of people know that he was a super talented race car driver, but I think he had it on full display this weekend in Texarkana. I mean, he ripped the lip the entire weekend en route, other than, like I said a moment ago, when he found that good diamond line down there 1 and 2 on Friday night. But come Saturday night, I'm not going to say he was uncontested because once we finally had a solid green flag set of laps that would be able to run there, he separated himself by about 2 seconds over Cole Macedo. Well, then he started getting hung up by lap traffic. Macedo shaved that advantage down from 1.8 seconds down to 0.42 or something like that at the time. I'm trying to recall what I remember in my head. But it got interesting. It got really interesting. And then Cole Macedo, unfortunately, biked the race car getting into turn 3. And you know, that was kind of the story of the weekend. And I think if you were to ask Tim Crawley if he would have done anything differently on the racetrack, I'm sure, you know, as a promoter, hindsight's always 2020. If you were to ask him what would you do differently, he would probably come up with a list of things that he would tell you that he would do a little bit differently. But number one, the crowd was phenomenal this way. I mean, it was solid. I'll just say it was solid. Considering the weather, it hasn't been this cold yet all year long here in the South. The weather was, for me, I love it. I like cold weather. I mean, it was nice. I had a hoodie on both nights this weekend. I was feeling good about it. It was nice. So it was a nice crowd on Friday, better than what we typically get for an average race on Friday. I would say quite a bit more, actually. And then on Saturday night, man, it was an awesome just Saturday night Texarkana crowd that we have seemingly been able to get when the big money's on the line for 410 sprint cars. And this is the crowd that I'm talking about. If you watch this, I don't know how well you can see this video that I put up on the screen. But I mean, look, the stands are full from the north to the south end. And that's what you want. Like all the hard work and all the ass busting that Tim Crawley and Laura do and everybody, Michael, the whole staff at that race, like they really bust their ass. And this is all the racetracks around. Like all these guys put in a shit ton of work in order to have their marquee events be their best events of the year. This is their marquee event. And again, it has stumbled, man. They have tried and tried and tried and almost gave up on it. Like Tim's not a quitter. Laura's not a quitter. Nobody in this whole makeup is a quitter. But man, it was just starting to get like, damn, is Mother Nature ever going to allow us to have this event? Because after a while, like Tim said when he was on this podcast, you start to kind of lose it. You start to lose that special feeling of the race. Like all those people that were in Hammer Hill at I-30 in Little Rock all over the years that made that event so special over the years. Like you want to be able to get those race fans and pull them and bring them to Texarkana. But the difficulty is when you don't have it from 2022 all the way up until 2025, and we've had 4 or 5 different rainouts, it's hard to keep that momentum built. It's hard to keep people's interest intrigued on it to make them want to come back and drive. Like there's a lot of diehard race fans that are coming from Little Rock, that never had to make that drive to Maineville, Arkansas in the past because Little Rock was right there on their back doorstep. Well, 67 is all but kind of become a lot of these race fans that were diehards at I-30. It's become their new racetrack. They just got to drive a little bit further distance to get to it. So, love the races, man, this weekend. By the way, the stock cars were phenomenal. The stock cars put on phenomenal racing. And so with Hank Davis dominating, also, before I get completely away from the sprint cars, Cody Gardner won the pole dash shuffle. I think that was worth like $1,500 too on Saturday night. And man, they were absolutely ripping. If you haven't watched it, I mean, I truly mean this when I say we talk about this all the time when Cortland's here, that this sport does no justice through the video camera. And I get it. Like I'm talking these microphones every weekend live for RaceON or whatever broadcast company it may be. And we try to sell you guys on what we're seeing live and direct in person. But truthfully, there's this sport video camera. I've always said it. Video cameras do not do this sport justice. We do the best that it can, but there's nothing like getting that full experience and the full effect. Them cars were so freaking loud this weekend. They had no mufflers on them. A lot of places the sprint cars go, they have to have the mufflers on them. Tim told them, we don't want your damn mufflers. They were loud. One of my buddies came to the racetrack this past weekend for the first time in a very long time. He walked up to me right intermission. He said, dude, them sprint cars are fucking loud. That's what he said to me. Like they were. I mean, even in the booth, when David and I are up there trying to co-announce the race, I mean, they come down the front straightaway, and you guys might think we get to hollering sometimes. That's just so we can hear each other because we don't have headsets. By the way, it'd probably be a good investment for the next big races at Texarkana to have a headset because it just gets so loud whenever the sprint cars are rolling down the front straightaway there full throat. But anyway, to move on to the there was a handful of sprint. Oh, by the way, another one before I completely move on. Landon Crawley had a phenomenal weekend as well. Second place both Friday and Saturday night. And I think that he was racing like a veteran, not like a 17-year-old. Hank Davis is up there ripping the lip, obviously driving. He knew that he had to do that in order to win the race. Landon was rolling also with reckless abandon, but he was also being a little conservative with his approach because he saw everybody around him wreck out of the race. And I didn't really hear what David talked to him about on the front stretch, but man, I have watched Landon Crawley from the point of when he started in 2023 when he was with Jason Sides all the way to this point with the 45X with Johnny Herrera Racing. Ladies and gentlemen, I mean, what do you expect? This is the natural progression that a driver is supposed to push in his young racing career. But man, I'm telling you, this kid's got a lot of momentum on his behalf right now. And I promise to God, I'm not saying this just because his family, I work for them at Texarkana. This isn't like, hey, let me talk up highly on Landon Crawley. Man, listen, he deserves to be talked about tonight. He finished second at the Short Track Nationals both Friday and Saturday, returned back home to his home state of Arkansas, where he has not raced all year long. Contrary to popular belief, a lot of things Landon probably makes a shit ton of practice laps or testing tunes at 67 all the time. He doesn't. He doesn't at all. And for him to come there this weekend and have the run that he had and finish the race, like that was a big deal of it because everybody's wrecking out left and right all around him. And he kept his car in one piece, and he had a really fast race car both nights. Congratulations to Landon Crawley in the 45X for his one of his career best runs in a 410 sprint car this past weekend at one of his home racetracks. It was an impressive run for him, no doubt. And also Ian Matson drove up the St. Mary, New South Wales, Australia driver, Ian Matson. I liked his post-race comments. He says something to me about, he said, man, it just feels good to be back in a good race car. Maybe, forgive me. I love the Australians' accents, but anyway. I need Cortland Smith tonight. I need him to dial me back. I need him to get me back on track here. So anyway, that's a wrap from 67, but not completely because I said I was going to get to the stock car. See, I'm going here. We're going there. We're going back here. We're going back there, but we're going to get it. It's like Theo Vaughn and his solo episodes. You never know what's coming next. The stock cars, what a display they had this weekend. Friday night, Colton Hinton scores his first ever career feature race win. 2 Fridays after Tim Crawley drives his ass to Boot Hill and parks that 4-car in Victor Lane in the USRE factory stocks. Well, Hinton rolls into Texarkana on Friday night, started 7th in the feature, and he was running 7th early on the race, man, and he found that top, started ripping it, and rolled around Neil Kemp. I mean, past some really good race car drivers to score his first career feature race win. It was an impressive drive. Congratulations to Colton Hinton on a well-earned, in my opinion, most improved driver on my watch. You could maybe even consider him a breakout driver of the year, but most improved driver certainly on my watch this year. There's quite a few other ones too that we could list, and we'll get to that at some point. But man, really looking forward to 67's finale. Unfortunately, I won't be able to be there this weekend. I was really hoping to catch the ones on the 15th and the 22nd. But they scrapped those for the rest of the year. But the reason being, and I know Tim kind of explained that on his live today, is that they added those dates due to the fact that they've been rained out so much, right? Mother Nature has not played any favors of 67 Speedway over the last couple of years. So they added that kind of as a safety net in case they weren't able to get all their Simmons Bank 67 series events in. So they were able to get the majority of those in. So they will run one final Simmons Bank 67 series night this Saturday night. I will be at the Texas Motor Speedway dirt track calling the American Racer Modified Series. So talked to Tim Crawley on the phone a little bit earlier, and he's aware I won't be there, but not that, no big deal. David Burleson will be on the call. He does a phenomenal job. We had a blast this past weekend, and he'll keep it rolling and up there in the box this weekend. So everybody go support 67. If not, you can catch it live on RaceOn.com. Oh, yeah, here I go again. I got to get it together. So Colton Hinton won the stock cars on Friday night. Shane Gibbons won the stock cars on Saturday night, and it was the best race of the night. Let's just be real. It was the best race of the night. I mean, the sprint cars are exciting. I know it paid 20 plus grand to win. But due to the red flags and the cautions and the sheer just amount of terror that race saw with the guys that were falling out and flipping on the different ends of the racetrack, just high attrition, survival of the fittest, and the stock cars was a really good race. It did have a few cautions, but for the most part, throughout the event, it was a really good racing up front. Shane Gibbons, Neil Kemp, Justin Whitehead had his hat into the ring at some point early on there. Friday night's winner, Colton Hinton, fell out of the race early, broke a motor, unfortunately for him. So I guess the good side of that is that you got the good out of it on Friday night. And now you can focus on the off season. I'm hearing some rumors that Hinton may be potentially moving up to run a B mod next year. So that's pretty exciting information and or exciting news. Can't wait to see that. I just got my first happy birthday of the year, and it's not my birthday. My birthday is not until midnight tonight or tomorrow, if you will. Uh, looking at my memories that have popped up today, I swear I've gotten happy birthdays in October, like the week leading up, and that's fine because we're celebrating all week long, right? We're celebrating all week long. I can cry. It's my birthday. I can cry if I want to. Okay, that's what we were trying to say. Um, what's next? See, like I said, I don't have Cortland Smith. I've already lost. I guarantee you, everybody that tuned into this podcast at the beginning, they're like, "All righty, then. I think we're about. You know what? It is what it is. How about this? So I talked about Kyle Larson. I just wanted to make this point real quick. So Kyle Larson wins the Sprint Cup. Wins the Sprint Cup championship. I just got a message from my producer who is actually listening to me talk right now. Cody Wooten says, "Happy early birthday, old man." I am old. I'm not telling you how old I am tonight. I guarantee you that shit. I'm starting to feel like a woman by not wanting to tell you how old I am. That's how you know you are getting old, when you don't want to tell people your age. But boy, I still look good, don't I? Like, woo, baby. Still looking young and dapper. I will tell you now. All right. So back in 1996, I've seen so many people since Saturday when Connor Zilisch, everybody's like, "Connor Zilisch won over 10 NASCAR races this season, and he didn't win the championship." It's like, well, buddy, Jeff Gordon won 10 races back in 1996. Terry Labonte won 2. And guess what happened? Terry Labonte won the freaking championship. If Jeff Gordon would have had a little bit better finishes and maybe didn't have a couple of them DNFs, then he would have probably won the championship. He won it in 1997 and 98 and 95 and 2001. But guess what? It is what it is, folks. These guys all knew, just like when me and Cortland talked about a couple of weeks ago with Ricky Thornton Jr., Devin Moran. They knew what the stakes were whenever they signed up prior to the season even beginning. I am so sick and freaking tired of everybody just bitching. Like, if the format was what it used to be, people would be bitching about that too, saying that, "Oh, damn it, the damn point system, man, they need to change it so it can be like every other sport and we can have like a playoff." Well, then NASCAR listens to half of these people and they do what you want, and then it ain't good enough. I'm not saying I like either one of them. Honestly, I could give two shits less. All I'm saying is in 1996, Jeff Gordon won 10 races, Terry Labonte won 2, and Terry Labonte won the championship. Everyone is so up in arms about Connor Zilisch not winning the title because of how many wins he had. Again, like I said, in the old format, wins didn't always lock you up a championship either. No, any format is perfect. I do know, it's funny is nobody had this conversation. This is the first time I think we've really talked about NASCAR on this podcast, but here we are right now. So what's funny to me is how on Sunday, nobody really has these big drastic of opinions as they had on Saturday. It only really applies to Zilich because he won 10 plus races, right? Like you want to award the guy who's been dominant all year, but yet you want to go back to the old format that rewarded consistency. Make it make sense to me. It doesn't make any sense. I think these guys race whatever format they have, and it's just, you know what, it's entertainment, and I don't have any really qualms about it. Like, I think we obviously all know that Kyle Larson is very well capable to win another Sprint Cup championship, and that's exactly what he did on Saturday or Sunday afternoon. Was it rather unfortunate for Denny Hamlin? What I think is funny is how everybody seemingly hated Denny Hamlin. I included, wasn't a big fan of the 11. But I'll tell you what has really, really changed for Denny is when he started his own podcast, Actions Detrimental. People started to see a different side of Denny. They're like, you know what? Maybe this guy isn't a douchebag. Maybe he's a, all things considered, he's a pretty good guy. He's a hell of a race car driver. I mean, dude's won 60 races in the NASCAR Cup Series. He's one of the greatest to ever do it, whether he has a Cup championship or not. And I saw a couple of interviews today. Some things that I saw were really high class of Kyle Larson and both Denny. Denny still showed up to Kyle's post race championship party on Saturday. He said, why did I show up? What he told the reporter. He said, because I think Kyle would have showed up to mine if I would have won it. He said, Kyle and I have been good friends. And then when they interviewed Kyle and asked him, he said, because Denny would show up for me. These guys are competitors, but at the end of the day, they're like family too. I mean, they want to beat the shit out of each other, on the racetrack. But, just like racing and our dirt track racing, we're all a pretty tight knit community. Motorsports, we're all one family. And, they were hard nosed competitors on the racetrack on Sunday. But when it's all said and done, the heartbreak is, I'm sure Denny's heartbreak he won't get over this for quite some time. But, once all those things have kind of passed a little bit, then you can be happy for a guy. I'm sure Denny didn't want to congratulate him. He didn't really want to think about anything, but probably just going home and getting his mind on something other than racing after that heartbreak. I mean, you're in the lead. You're literally seconds away from winning your first ever Cup championship, and a caution flag comes out. I mean, just hard luck, man. But I mean, here's the deal. Kyle Larson's crew. I mean, it's wild that you could win a championship based off of a decision to whether take 2 or 4 tires. Kyle Larson takes 2. Denny Hamlin takes 4, puts him inside of the 4th row in the restart. Larson finishes 3rd in the race, wins the championship. That's easy. It is what it is. I mean, it's pretty much about how the cookie crumbled there. So, again, the Lucky 13 Bet All Fall Classic took place at Heart of Texas Speedway. I'm going to go through. This has never really been like a huge results-oriented podcast. We like to have real race talk here. That's what we like. I don't have anybody to go back and forth and talk racing with tonight, but we like to talk about what happens around the races, not necessarily like individual results, but I will get into those right now because they're important. Huge race. The Fall Classic's been a massive event in the history of Heart of Texas down there in Elmont or Waco, if you will. Factory stock winner was Tyler Russell there. David Good Jr., the Outlaw Street stock winner. Caden Morosky won your Junior Limiteds. Jeff Taylor, how about that? For the Cave City, Arkansas driver, the Animal goes down to Heart of Texas. That was a surprise entry to me, man. And that IMCA modified field down there in Waco this week was legitimate. Like, it was pretty badass. A really good field of cars. Jeff Taylor gets the big IMCA modified win for the Lucky 13 Bet All Fall Classic. And the IMCA Southern Sport Mods, of course, no stranger to Victor Lane. Cody Smith put the Robert Clark Racing number 25C in Victor Lane. And also no stranger to Victor Lane. Jeffrey Abbey out of Rome, Texas, in the IMCA stock cars was your winner. And the great folks down in Cleveland at the 105 had the Halloween Havoc this past weekend. And how about the driver, Craig Pursley Jr.? Folks, should we call Craig right now? Should we call him live on the podcast? Let's do it. Let's see if he answers. I think this sounds crazy, but we're going to try to call Craig Pursley Jr. right here, right now. What's unfortunate is I didn't have his number saved. Let's see if I'm calling him on Facebook Messenger. Let's see if we can get Craig on the phone. He's probably not dialed in and connected. So when I got a new phone, I lost a lot of my numbers. Oh, now it's ringing. Let's see if Craig answers. So Craig Pursley Jr. gets the win on Saturday night at the 105 in the Halloween Havoc. And beat his good buddy in the 27 of Dalton Faulkner. So that one had to feel pretty good. And I want to call him and talk to him about it real quick if he'll answer the phone. All right. Top flight security of the world, Craig. See, I don't matter to these racers. They'll shun you at the last second. They don't want to come on the podcast. I'm just joking about that one. I can't expect Craig to just answer the phone. All right. This thing is not going off the rails right now. So, again, Craig Pursley won the factory stocks. Kenneth Montgomery, my boy Kamo. You know what? Let's call Kamo and see if he answers. What do y'all think? Is this really going off the rails now? He has no idea that he's about to get a phone call. All right, so Kenneth Montgomery won your hobby stocks this weekend at the 105. Howard Willis was your street stock winner. Ryan Harris, Rhino, won your limited modifieds, and the IMC Mod Lights was won by Johnny Brown. So again, trying to call KMO Kenneth Montgomery, get a word on what happened down there at the 105. Craig just texted me back. He said, "What's your number?" Yeah. So, but this is taking a little bit too long now, and now Clark After Dark is going off the rails because we're trying to set up something randomly in the middle of the pod. So we're just going to keep this thing rolling. If he calls me, we'll answer it and we'll talk to him. But if not, we'll just keep rolling here. And then look, Kamo sent me a picture of he's in the shower. So these guys, he said currently lathered up. So anyway, that's what happened down there at 105. If Craig happens to call me here, we'll answer. We'll get a quick word with him if we're able to do so. Hopefully you guys will be able to hear the call come over through the microphone anyway. But just about ready to wrap this podcast up, folks. Oh, here he is. Craig Pursley's calling. Hello, welcome into Clark After Dark, episode number 59. This is Zach Clark.
What's up, man?
Hey, bud. This is a random dude. I'm in the middle of recording this podcast. I was going over some of the results from 67 this week, or from 105, and I said, my boy Craig Pursley won the Halloween Havoc down there at 105 in Cleveland, and he held off that damned old 27 car, man. How does that feel?
And it felt pretty good pulling up beside him, and he had a clown mask on, so I knew I could beat him.
He had a clown mask on?
Just Dalton Faulkner.
Yeah. Man, tell me what the event was like this weekend, man. I mean, I know it feels pretty good to race a little bit closer to home, man. What was 105 like this weekend?
Man, it was pretty good. Track was good. I think we had 25 cars or so. It was a good weekend. Track done what it normally does and comes right into our favor.
Hell yeah, man. I'm like I said, I know because you told us when you were on the pod here earlier this year that, man, it's just something feels good about beating that 27 car, doesn't it? I mean, I know you like to win, but I mean, when you beat one of the best in the business right now, I know he's your good friend, but when you can beat one of the best, man, that's got to be an extra feather in the cap.
Yeah, that's kind of what I said in the interview. It's nice to go out there and race with him, and knowing that you can beat him and get around him. He did. I didn't get to him till halfway to go or so, and we run up in some lap cars, and he run into the back of a lap car, and I passed him going into 3, and then made a full lap, and then I run into the back of a lap car, and he passed me back with the caution come out, and then he kind of pushed me around the racetrack for the next 15 laps until we finished. So
yeah. Man, what's your plans? Was that your last race of the year? Do you have any other plans this year? Or kind of what's on the docket for the 56 car?
No, man, we're going back to Cleveland this weekend for the Texas Grand.
Oh, yeah, the old Texas Grand, baby. Hey,
Texas Grand.
You've got to really want to win that one, right? Like that's a prestigious race, man. What is this, the 30th annual Texas Grand? Dude, this thing's been around for a hot minute.
Yes, sir. Yeah, actually, we raced the Grand this year from last year. We raced it because it got rained out, and I won it. So hopefully we can go out there and get it done on this one. But this one's going to be a pretty hard fought one because if anybody knows, Dalton's going to be there again, and he already put on Facebook, we're going to war this weekend. So
that's what
he's not going to let me win 2 weekends in a row. So
we
just got done, this afternoon, going over the car, making sure everything's good. And we'll do that for the next 2 days and go at it again this weekend.
That's awesome, man. Dude, hey, I really, really appreciate you calling me back, man. You kind of helped me fill some dead air here on my pod. It's just me solo tonight. My buddy Cortland's got the flu. He's on the sidelines, not feeling well. And your boy Zach was over here kind of struggling. I was about to get through this, and I said, you know what? Let me call my boy Craig real quick and talk to him about 105 Saturday. And if you didn't call me right back, dude, I appreciate your time.
Yes, sir. No problem. Thank y'all.
Hey, man, best of luck this weekend.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
There he is, folks. That's CPJ driver, the innovative race car CP Gutters, CP Seamless Gutters number 56. Got that old best engine underneath the hood, honking the horn there. Craig Pursley, one of the best factory stock drivers in the business. That there is no doubt. We appreciate him for giving us a couple minutes here live and direct on Clark After Dark. We might have to do that again, right? Like, where's my producer? What'd you think of that, Cody? Right? That was just right off the top here, but I think it worked out pretty good. You could kind of hear anyway, I hope. So, anyway, folks, I don't have a whole lot more. They did do the draft last night for the Dome, the course Dirt in December at the Edward Jones Dome in St. Louis, Missouri. I don't know the official dates on that, but they did a draft last night. Pretty interestingly enough, out of 132 of the super late models there, John Mitchell, Dakota Smith, Patrick Daniel, and El Dorado, Arkansas's Michael King Jr., four of our local super late model drivers. I'm not sure if there's any more. I think those are just for the locals that are from, around the Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas region that were drafted in last night and that will compete at this year's Gateway Dirt Nationals, which is really exciting, man. I always enjoy rooting and cheering those guys on. Of course, Michael King started off in the tuners around here locally, back in 2017, won a handful of races. John Mitchell's been in the game for a long time, former SUPR late model champion, former Comp Cams champion. Dakota Smith, of course, made waves last year, made ESPN Sports Center top 10 running down the front straightaway at the Dome. And then PD Patrick Daniel, man, he's won heat races, it seems like, every single year there for the Wheels Point Texan in car number 75. And he started on the front row of the finale before, or at a prelim. And I think it was the finale on Saturday for PD Patrick Daniels. So can't wait to root on all them guys. Congratulations to them. There's a bunch of people that enter into that deal. And a lot of them don't get selected or get entered. You got to be marketable. You got to run a good race program. And all these folks run a tight ship and should be proud to run their race programs in the manner in which they do to be able to have opportunities such as this. So congratulations to them. It's really exciting stuff. If I've forgot or I missed anything tonight on the pod, folks, I know it was going to be a shorter pod. I did a lot of rambling tonight. We called Craig Pursley. I'll be honest. This is why I love having Cortland Smith, man. I like to be able to bounce ideas off of him and go back and forth. And again, I know a lot of times I get up in a press box and I'm on a microphone if I'm solo announcing at a racetrack, but I'll tell you, announcing solo is totally different than conducting this podcast. Not saying I don't enjoy it, but it's just a little bit different approach. I get on here to have race talk and to talk and go back and forth and just have fun. Like I'll be honest, like sitting here just kind of rambling and talking about myself isn't quite as fun. It's not. I'm gonna be honest. It's not, man. I really, truly, Cortland has value and I appreciate him being here every single week. And maybe I shouldn't come out and say that because now he's going to want a new contract. We don't do contracts at RaceON. Just kidding. We're independent. We're freelancers, Cordy. Anyway. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's a wrap on this shorter episode, episode number 59. Oh, wait a minute. By the way, before we get out of here, I've done that a few times tonight too. Episode 59, we've done this over the last couple of weeks. Different racers and their numbers 59. I had a really hard time trying to think of a 59. Matter of fact, throughout this podcast, while I've been rambling on and talking this whole time, I've been thinking in my head like, damn, man, I can't think of 159. And he's not current, or he hadn't raced in a little while. I'm sorry. He has raced a little bit this year. He actually just reached out to me a few weeks ago to ask me or sent me a message and asked me about something. But Kerry Eason, Forest Hill, Louisiana driver, drove the number 59. And as a matter of fact, if you want to know a really cool stat, Kerry Eason driving car number 59 right here on episode 59 of Clark After Dark. Kerry Eason is the winner of the closest finish in Arklatex Speedway history. Now, this isn't like an official stat. I'm just telling you folks because I've called the races there. I've called the races at Arklatex for over 15 years, all time put together. And I was there when he won that race over Doug Vick Jr. Matter of fact, I got a little video or a GIF of it that I made, but the video is from 2017 at Arklatex Speedway. Photo finish coming to the line. Doug Vick Jr. And Kerry Eason were side by side. And Eason slips over the top of 3 and 4 with his right rear tire, gets it back on the racetrack. They drag race to the line. And I'm kidding you not. He did a cross under on Doug Vick. It was the closest finish I have ever seen at Arklatex. Like I said, these kind of things aren't official because we don't have like a stat book that you can go down and say and compare and say, oh, well, this finish was actually. But I'm telling you, I feel like I've seen the majority of races at Arklatex, and I haven't heard of a photo finish or a race being any closer than that one. And we have the video evidence of it. So Kerry Eason holds the closest finish in Arklatex Speedway history, driving car number 59 of the factory stocks. We didn't have transponders back then, too, so we're just going by the eyeball test. That's episode 59 of Clark After Dark. Thank you to Cody Wooten, my awesome producer, for everything he does on this podcast. Thank you to Cortland Smith, even though he's not here this week. And great races on tap this weekend at Texas Motor Speedway Dirt Track. Man, we've got modifieds, late models, and sprint cars. What more do you want? Live on RaceON this weekend at the TMS Dirt Track. And what else is on tap? We got a lot of other great things. You can check out the menu. Just stay tuned to RaceON on Facebook. I'm going to get going. Be blessed and be a blessing. We'll see you next time.